Joy, who was 32, found out she was carrying twins when the doctor told her and her husband, Roberto, that one of the twins had some anomalies. Their initial excitement was quickly eclipsed. Joy was filled with worry as she tried to make sense of the gynecologist's imprecise explanation. She thought, "I don't understand how he could be so unclear." Joy took the doctor's advice to slow down in an attempt to calm her down, since she was really worried about her kids. Her kids were named Emily and Amanda. Although Emily was considerably smaller than Amanda, Joy was constantly concerned about her girls' health, and she and her husband devoted a lot of time to learning more and finding solutions. Joy's only options were to heed the doctor's advice, keep an eye on her health, and get ready for the pressures of giving birth. The twin surgeons advised waiting until they were older to perform any surgery. The couple found it difficult to accept this new reality because they were constantly concerned for the future of their daughters. Joy was overwhelmed by the idea of a high-risk pregnancy and possible birth deformities. She had never expected such challenges. Joy's mother, friends, and family were there to support her despite her anxieties, and this was crucial to her adjustment. They highlighted the benefits of having lovely daughters and gave her assurances that things will work out. During this difficult period, her mother's support and advice were invaluable. Though there were uncertainties, Joy still felt that every child is a gift from God. Her words to Joy were, "Remember, they come through us so we can care for them." Unable to shake the doctor's alarming comments, Joy's thoughts was consumed by this concept. Her concern for her kids was unbearable. Though she knew this was a lot to ask, she prayed for the delivery of joyful, healthy babies who were free from trauma or pain. Her babies had been distressed even before they arrived. The anxiety and joy increased as the due date drew near. Problems arose for the doctors during the delivery. Amanda was bigger and healthier than Emily. Emily, who was born last, appeared delicate and small. Upon first sight of her daughters, Joy was taken aback and found it hard to believe. Emily seemed little, pale, and fragile, in contrast to Amanda, who seemed to be a healthy baby with plump cheeks. Joy was heartbroken and worried about how she would handle things after seeing Emily. Joy had a hard time processing her new situation and her responsibilities as a mother since she was so overwhelmed by her emotions. Joy was quite worried about her daughter Emily because the doctor had said she would be smaller and more fragile than Amanda. Roberto had a hard time dealing with it as well. They were able to find comfort in one another's love. Even though he couldn't completely support Joy, they relied on each other, shared their anxieties, and provided emotional support throughout this difficult period. Their already heavy burden was made even heavier by the seemingly endless stream of appointments and consultations. As time went on, Joy became more capable and secure in her position as a mother. In the process of learning to care for her girls, she was astounded by their tenacity. She was impressed by the development of both Emily, who was fragile and needed special care, and Amanda, who was cheerful and energetic. They were very proud of their accomplishments, and Joy felt the same way. The strength of Amanda and Emily impressed her mother just as much as it had Amanda and Emily. Being the main caregiver for the twins, Joy's mother was always willing to lend a hand. Grace treasured nothing more than spending time with her lovely daughter and family. Joy was grateful, but she also felt her mother was protecting her, and the solace she gained was priceless. Joy embraced her daughters, Amanda and Emily, and felt a strong link with them as she kissed and cooed them. Her mother's unconditional love and acceptance helped Joy accept her girls for who they were. Many loved ones rushed to see Amanda and Emily as they were carried into the nursery. People were either shocked or captivated. A few were too scared to look, while others were startled or curious. Joy was taken aback by their reactions and didn't know what to do next. Her closest friends were taken aback when she eventually invited them to meet the newborns. While some avoided eye contact with the females, others murmured to one another. Joy felt alone and unsure due of the mixed reactions. Joy questioned whether procedures should be explored earlier, even though it was too early for them. Like Joy, Roberto was astonished to see his girls for the first time. The complex range of feelings experienced when holding them included pride, a protective instinct, dread, and overwhelm, all stemming from their delicate condition. Making sure his girls were healthy and happy was Roberto's #1 priority as a father. Their resilience and growth as a species astounded him, and he was impressed by their attractiveness and might. The seriousness of the situation struck Roberto immediately, and he committed himself wholeheartedly to his job as a protective father. He took great pride in the lovely family that he and Joy had raised. Even so, he was aware that their happy moments would pass quickly as the worry of an impending surgery set in. As Joy and Roberto's girls grew older, they considered medical procedures. Doctors told them to wait, but Joy was afraid for their future. She was adamant about her daughters have regular, pain-free lives. The pair allowed Joy to make her decisions with patience. As the weeks went by, they learned more about raising their kids and were in awe of their tenacity and fortitude. Emily was more reserved and content, whereas Amanda was more outgoing and inquisitive. Amanda and Emily had different personalities. Joy and Roberto found it difficult to accept these differences, especially in light of the unknown future that lay ahead. Knowing that neither of their girls deserved hardship, they were extremely grieved by the idea of their daughters going through it. They faced a risky position for their kids. And the hard reality was that life might be cruel to children at times. Joy and Roberto had many difficulties as they raised their daughters over the years. They were resolved not to bring them any long-term pain or suffering, and they were dedicated to making their lives better. Joy and Roberto had to make a terrible decision about their kids' health and future, but they were always there for their girls and each other. The dreadful thought of losing one of his daughters plagued Roberto. Even with all his efforts, he could never have predicted the outcome. Even in the midst of hardships, Joy and Roberto found happiness in the little moments they spent with their daughters. Seeing them mature, they ignored the underlying problems while they joked and laughed with them. They thought their kids were getting better. But they were wrong, and a terrible fate was in store. They took pictures of everything, including smiles, since they felt it was important to keep these memories alive, especially with Emily around. Although they were aware that the procedure was the best option, it was also the most dangerous. They were faced with the choice of doing nothing or taking a chance in the hopes of bettering their girls' lives. Their children, Amanda and Emily, were tough on the outside but had profound affection inside, and Joy and Roberto knew that not everyone felt the same way. They expected their girls' futures to provide formidable obstacles. Joy started to doubt the procedure as she thought about it, tears welling up in her eyes as she recalled all the procedures and treatments their girls had to go through. Despite the fact that each action was taken with their own gain in mind, it had hurt the girls and cost them money. Joy began to wonder if it was all worth it, but she discovered that by accepting her girls' distinct traits, she could cherish their special link. Witnessing the profound love and connection between Amanda and Emily was an incredible experience, and Joy was thankful for the friendship they had. Joy was determined that what she was doing was the best thing for her girls, even though she had mixed feelings about whether or not they were making the correct decisions. During her alone time, she would weep, convinced that her suffering was justifiable because of something she had done wrong. Joy loved her twins very much, but she struggled to raise them because of the difficulties of caring for them. Every once in a while, she had disturbing thoughts that she wished she hadn't indulged. She and Roberto remembered how thrilled they were to hear they were having twins. Their happiness was overwhelming. Sadly, the joy they felt upon learning that one of the infants was unique did not last. It was difficult to comprehend the news that their lives would be lacking without her. The strain was getting to them, and they had to accept their predicament no matter what. They felt forced to move forward regardless of the dangers they knew were there. They were hoping for a better future if they acted, but they couldn't risk Emily's life, considering the doctor's cautions about the procedure's hazards. The thought of losing Emily was particularly devastating. Concerns about the financial load of the costly procedures suggested by the doctors added to Joy's terror at the thought of undergoing surgery. Their anxiety and unpredictability were heightened because many had not even thought about this money component, but their parents couldn't come up with the money for the surgery. In order to get the funds, they had to look into other possibilities. They looked into internet fundraising options, but it was impossible for them to save up enough money for a year because of their financial circumstances. They still couldn't raise enough money, not even through a GoFundMe website. They were hoping for better outcomes than what they got, but they didn't expect much help from strangers. They needed to diversify their income streams if they were going to achieve their financial objectives. The once loving couple's relationship started to deteriorate because of this. The difficulties their daughter was facing put a strain on their once joyful and robust relationship. Tensions were certain to arise due to the challenges of child care. Most of the medical preparations were finished by the time the twins' procedure was almost upon them. They were 22 months old, but the doctors said they should be at least 2 years old. Just 2 more months and they'd be all set for the procedure. Life or death was riding on this procedure. So the pair was understandably anxious and tense. The decision weighed heavily on the weary parents. Were their children going to be all right? Major life changes were on the horizon for them. Were all other considerations superseded by the risk? The operation might be beneficial for Amanda, says another pediatric surgeon, but she is really struggling with the emotional impact of Emily's small frame. If they did nothing, the worst-case scenario would play out. They finally had to do something since their girls needed saving. Compared to the worst-case scenario, the result was better. Every newborn has one reproductive organ, the same essential organs, and a functional kidney, but the attachment in their stomach was slowly hurting them. Joy wondered why God would allow 2 helpless infants to endure so much for no apparent reason. She was deeply in love with them, but she also questioned why they had to be born this way. She realized that her daughter was just like any other child, with her own distinct personality, likes, dislikes, and particular bond. Her illness did not define her. It was impossible to diminish their individuality. The twins' biggest test was about to come. Joy and Roberto took great pride in the lives that their daughters had created. They believed that if they didn't strive to provide both daughters a typical life, they wouldn't be able to live alone, despite the hazards. The treatment was carried out because they could not afford to take no action while their daughter's safety was in jeopardy. They were devastated to hear from the doctor that their twins were conjoined at the abdomen. Joy and Roberto pondered for a minute as they took in this knowledge. They had never seen conjoined twins before, so they weren't sure what to anticipate. Although they should have changed their plan of action in light of this uncertainty, it was too late. After watching the first story above, do you have any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Now, let's watch another similar story. Since you can't anticipate when any of the people you care about will leave your life, it's best to savor every time with them while you still can. Matt, a resident of Minnesota, USA, has a profound comprehension of this. In case you didn't hear, a story about him went viral and made headlines all over the globe. Matt was filled with immense gratitude in March 2008 after his wife had given birth to a baby daughter. A terrible event, however, flipped his world upside down. Only 27 hours after that, everything changed later on when he went on to check his wife's PC. When Matt was a teenager, he met Liz in Minnesota. She would end up being his wife and the mother of his child, but he had no idea. He was deeply in love with Liz, and she was ideal in every way, smart, funny, and perfect. They tied the knot after 8 years of dating. They were the center of each other's universes, not only childhood sweethearts. As they progressed through college side by side, the traditional college romance, marriage, and parenthood seemed inevitable. Matt and Liz kept up a long-distance romance while they were apart, studying in different places. According to the Star Tribune, they hadn't seen each other for 8 years when Matt proposed in Nepal. Shortly after, they relocated to Los Angeles. The pair began blogging to keep their Minnesotan friends and family informed of Liz's pregnancy as it progressed. Liz endured a challenging pregnancy, spending the final 5 weeks in bed. 7 weeks prior to Liz's birth date, doctors advised them that she would require a cesarean section. Madeline Elizabeth Matt was born to them with a preterm delivery by cesarean section on March 24, 2008. Liz was exhausted from the difficult delivery. But Madeline was fine. She needed to get some sleep after spending so little time with her newborn. Liz was too weak to hold her baby, but doctors stressed the need of her resting for 24 hours to recover. In an interview with Rachel Ray on The Rachel Ray Show, Matt disclosed that he had to divide his time between his newborn daughter and the hospital. After Liz woke up the following day and the staff gave her the all-clear to see their baby together, Matt got her out of bed and they began to explore the room. Liz passed out just as they were going to visit Madeline in a wheelchair. As doctors and nurses hurried in, Matt remembered seeing 2 of the nurses cry as they left the room. That's when he found out Liz had died. due to a pulmonary embolism brought on by a blood clot that went from Liz's leg to her lungs. She passed away 27 hours after giving birth. The physicians did everything they could to rescue her, but it was not enough. While many people consider the initial days following their child's birth to be the best times of their lives, Matt's happiness was sadly fleeting and was replaced by intense suffering and sadness. Living without Liz over the next few months was very difficult for him, and losing his love was a sadness he never expected. Matt took to the couch since he could no longer bear to sleep in the bedroom, but eventually, he found the fortitude to turn his life around and take care of his kid. He subsequently revealed that his little Bella was the one who enabled him to overcome his intense grief. When he eventually plucked up the courage to boot up Liz's old computer, he found the blog they had begun jointly to chronicle the pregnancy. Matt was determined to write, and he wrote non-stop on the blog as a way to deal with his suffering. He used the blog as therapy, a direct and sincere way to express the hurt of losing his greatest love. It attracted a sizable readership very rapidly. In a few months, it was reaching roughly 40,000 people daily. Matt never imagined that the hundreds of strangers who contacted out with letters of encouragement and advice on raising a single child would provide him with such comfort. 2 Kisses for Bella, a memoir of loss and love, is the memoir that Matt eventually turned from the blog into a book, in memory of his wife. He also founded the Liz Foundation, which helps young bereaved families through their most trying times. The Star Tribune revealed last year that Matt's book rights were purchased by actor Channing Tatum and his production business for a movie adaptation. As Bella gets older, her father is glad to say that she has developed into a joyful and intelligent child. Bella is still undecided about what she wants to do for a living, a marine scientist, an artist, or a space engineer. Matt observes that she shares many traits with her mother. Matt has made it his mission to preserve Liz's memories throughout Bella's childhood by bringing her up on a daily basis. "I don't know all the answers, but this approach has worked for us," Matt told the Star Tribune. Even though Matt was going through unbearable suffering, he chose to focus his efforts on sharing love instead of hate. Bella is lucky to have a father who is so understanding. After watching the stories above, do you have any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. That's all about today's stories. See you next time.